What's up, ladies and gentlemen? You are listening to Believe in Bears. This is where I shed tears about my team. Marshall keeps it real about them, and Clay kind of gives some insight as to what can the Bears be doing better. But
a lot, Gabe, a lot.
I know, man.
Everything. They can do everything better.
It's been a tough couple of weeks. Let's be honest. I mean, before we get into truth be told, it's been a tough couple of weeks for the Chicago Bears, and just like it seems like the impending implosion is just right on our tails right now. Because isn't that what it feels like to you guys?
It feels like nothingness to me. It feels like an empty void. It feels like there's no direction to go but up. But yet, if they continue to lose, they won't go up.
Yeah, okay, they have to win this week, man. You're going against a bad team, a team that can't sack the quarterback, a team that had 16 rushing yards with its running back last week. These are things that you struggled with. So this team that they're about to play is tailor-made for them. So I think there's a good chance that they can get to 5-4. And if they get to 5-4 after everything that's been happening, the Fail Mary, the beat down in the desert where it's hailing, I mean, that should have been a sign right there. Then I think you get a chance to reset and say, hey, if you can just split these remaining 6 games here, we'll actually be over 500 for the season, and that would be a 2-game improvement.
What it's supposed to look like, Clay. All right, hit me with your truth be told. This is where we kind of give our truths, and hopefully they incite some conversation. Clay, what you got for us?
Truth be told, besides everything else, Matt Eberflus's biggest weakness is his hiring ability. Okay,
that's a good one.
Hired Luke Getsy. Luke Getsy just got fired again from the Raiders. Didn't even make it eight games. Okay, Shane Waldron. I'm sorry, buddy. Your concepts ain't making sense to me. I go back and watch the All-22. NFL. You see a lot of similar concepts. You'll get there a different way, but the end result is similar concepts and similar spacing. Some of his stuff ain't making sense. When he's running the ball, it ain't making sense. When he's throwing the ball, it ain't making sense a lot of times. Obviously, Caleb needs to get better, but Shane Waldron, you need to improve. Then you go back to last year when you had to fire a defensive coordinator. You had to fire your running back coach. To me, this guy can't pick a staff. So that's my truth be told.
I got no problem with anything Clay just said. That is the truth.
It's a truth.
The track record is the track record. The resume is the resume. It's all documented. The documentation, the T's are crossed, the I's are dotted. You are not doing a good job hiring people. If you have that many missteps in the time span of 2 years, 3 years, things have gone horribly wrong. So I could not. You know what? Clay told the truth for once.
Wow,
he told the truth, but he told the truth today.
And it's not even just the offensive coordinators, right? We go to the defensive coordinator as well. And Washington being an issue with the Bears last season. I mean, these are character flaws that we're finding. I mean, because let's be honest, Shane Waldron, I mean, outside of the poor schematic that he puts together for this Bears team, he's not necessarily the personality that is going to be driving an offense to play at their highest level. I will go next. Truth be told, it's a little step removed. But truth be told, Khalil Herbert will be a factor for the Cincinnati Bengals moving forward on that team. I mean, I look at Khalil Herbert. I mean, granted, he's not an explosive guy the way that you would think he'd be, but with that backfield, Chase Brown, the dual, he worked well in a dual running back role where he was the opposite, kind of similar to Chase Brown in a way, but he's someone that's going to bring a veteran presence. I think sitting down, being healthy scratches, he's itching to play. He's got healthy legs. I think Joe Burrow's going to use him out of the backfield. Obviously, he struggled in pass protection, so we're going to see how often they're able to use him. But I do think he's going to end up being a factor. What do you guys think about him, Bears getting just a 7th-round pick for him?
I mean, clearly we're not going to retain him past the season, so you got to get something for him. So a 7th-round pick is better than nothing. That was my overall thought. He has been inactive for weeks on weeks now. He was clearly not a part of their future plans. At that point, if you're a front office man, you get something for something you're not going to have next year regardless.
Marshall, do you have insurance?
I do have insurance.
Why? Like what? Why? What's the point of insurance?
I have insurance just in case things go poorly and I need it.
Okay, Khalil Herbert was some good insurance in case things go poorly. DeAndre Swift goes down. You're going to need Khalil Herbert. And all you're getting is a 7th-round pick. Marshall could have been a 7th-round pick in the NFL. Like there's no value there to me. Khalil Herbert in the return game as a backup running back, as insurance. If you do make a run down the stretch, something happens to DeAndre Swift, God forbid, you had insurance there. Now you don't have insurance. Travis Homer had never run the ball. Travis Homer doesn't run the ball. Roshan Johnson.
No. Clay, they started the season and they had Travis Homer running that football until he got hurt. True or false?
He got a couple of carries, but he and a guy like Khalil Herbert, who over the last 2 years has averaged 5.1 yards per carry, over 1,300 yards and 6 touchdowns.
If something happened to DeAndre Swift, Roshan Johnson would be that guy. Let's be honest. We know he would. The only reason Khalil Herbert was getting run to begin the season is because Roshan Johnson wasn't fully healthy yet. That's the only reason. He was not healthy during training camp. That's the only reason. You have to understand. I understand the insurance thing, but do you want real insurance or do you want crappy insurance? You don't want to overpay for insurance.
Get liability insurance. Clay just wants liability insurance. He doesn't.
He just wants the state minimum, like the minimum that your state requires you to carry. That's
got the type my of Obamacare, bro. Get out of here.
What you got for us? What you got for us, Marshall?
Truth be told, it doesn't really matter in terms of what you think about Matt Eberflus. He can't be the coach next season. This team will never reach its
already firing
full potential. They can't reach their full potential at the quarterback position for reasons that Clay stated with him as the head coach. They need an offensive-minded head coach. Matt Eberflus is a dead man walking. That's the truth.
He's telling the truth right here. He's telling the truth. I think you're correct. You want to get an offensive coach. If you got give Ben Johnson part ownership to come here. You see what he's able to do with a quarterback. I'd give him part ownership, right? But then you just hear Brad Biggs breaks the news yesterday that Matt Eberflus somehow snuck an extra year on his deal. How does man do that?
We don't know if that 5th year is guaranteed, though. We don't know if that 5th year is guaranteed.
Yeah, we don't know.
How does Ryan Poles give him 5 years, though, right? Like, you're coming into a situation.
Because year one, he knew what it was. Year one, he knew what it was. This is the ultimate tank job. This is an ultimate tank job.
Yeah. I guess I think about 5-year contracts in the NFL. I mean, for players, coaches, regardless, it's just something you don't hear too often. So to get that from Coach Eberflus, it's just like you realize the amount of faith they are putting.
No, that's a quarterback only contract. But here we are.
What's the number of games that Matt Eberflus? There has to be a number. What's the number of games that Matt Eberflus needs to win?
11. 11.
Yeah, he'd have to go 4-2. Yeah, 4-2 in the division, right? 4-2 in the division, and that'll put him at 8. And then he'd have to win, this game. That's 9.
Here's why the number's 11. I'm gonna explain it to you, Clay. Here's why the number is 11. They're 4-4. He needs to go 7-2 the rest of the way. Or not 7-2. I'm sorry. I definitely. No, wait.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, no, that is right. 7-2 the rest of the way in the remaining 9 games. Here's why. Because if you go 7-2, you've done damage in the division, and the division is widely seen as the best, if not the best, certainly the most competitive in all of football. So that means you figured something out that you couldn't figure out. A couple of things you figured out. One, you figured out how to win on the road. There's no evidence that Matt Eberflus knows how to win on the road, and you can't be a competitive team in the NFL if you don't know how to win on the road. That's number one. Number two, you've regained the trust of your players. The locker room is back underneath you if you've won 7 of your last 9 games to end the season with the most difficult schedule remaining. 7-2 gets that done. 6-3 doesn't even get that done. And here's why. If you're 6-3, you can find a way to say, oh, well, they won their non-division games and then they went 3-3 in division. I don't know that that's going to be evidence that you learned how to win on the road. Right. And in this division, you would be in the playoffs and now you're in the mix. But that's what it would take. But can you really see this team going 7-2?
No,
it's too I don't see it happening. But I still think if he gets to 9, there will be a conversation had that, hey, he had 7 wins last year. He had 9 wins this year. In his last 16 games, he is 9-7. Okay,
I know
4-4 last 8. So he's 9-7 in the last 16. So there will be an argument if he wins.
Yeah, but Clay, I think the situation is when the Bears, if they get to 9 wins, the larger conversation is going to be the ones that are missing from the win column, right? So, and I think that's what's ultimately going to seal his fate over there with Chicago. All right. You can bet on the amount of wins the Bears have. You can bet whether or not Coach Eberflus will be the next coach fired if he, in fact, loses a few more games in a row. You can do it all at Bet Online. It's the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen with the largest selection of odds on everything from football, NBA, and college basketball, NHL, Blackhawks lost yesterday, to UFC and MMA. Head to BetOnline today to get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline, the game starts here. All right, the game for the Bears starts on Sunday against the New England Patriots. Certainly a tough loss. Two tough losses for the Chicago Bears team. But the biggest issue for them during this last two games, outside of the coaching, gentlemen, has been the offense of the Chicago Bears, the inability to score a touchdown in the last two games. Does that change against the Patriots on Sunday, or do you anticipate continued struggles for this offense?
I mean, I anticipate continued struggles, but I think they can muster up some points against a terrible New England Patriots team, a team that if we had the NFL draft today, they would pick first overall. That's all you really need to know about the New England Patriots and where they stand on the NFL's spectrum of good versus bad teams. Also, take this into account. The numbers for the Bears offense and Caleb Williams specifically, so much better at home versus on the road. Now, the issue is, if you get off to another bad start, which is what they do, only the Eagles have scored less first quarter points than these Bears. That home field advantage is going to slip right away because those fans are going to be booing. They've got 2 weeks of pent up rage just waiting to be tapped
so
into.
True. It's so true. They do. Even I do.
They go 3 and out that first drive, one drive.
Gosh. And they might.
Yeah.
They might. That's the biggest issue. I mean,
No.
Bears,
If they get a few first downs in that first drive and it looks like what we saw last week, maybe they won't boo. But if they go 3 and out, bruh, you already know what it is.
All right. This is what we got to do. What chant will start first? All right, I'll go first. It's going to be fire Waldron. That's going to be fire Shane Waldron. It's going to be like, that's got to be the chant because it's not going to be about Caleb Williams. It might be about Eberflus.
That's just be about
it might be fire Eberflus if they're on the field first. Gabe, Clay, if they're on the field on defense first and they give up some ridiculous play to the New England Patriots for a 7-0 deficit, you tell me they won't be calling for
70-yard Drake May run, a 70-yard Drake May run.
Hey, man,
which, by the way,
Drake May, he had 90-plus yards rushing last week.
That was my biggest win of the weekend last weekend. I was telling all my boys in the group chat, I was like, yo, Drake May, over 10.5 yards for his longest rush of the day. I was like, bet it. He's coming back from the concussion. He's a runner. He's not going to do it. And on the second play of the game, he ran for like 20-something yards. So the boy can run. He's going to get out there. I'm sure we'll get to the defensive side in a second. But, Clay, on the offensive side, right, you saw last week Tony Pollard went crazy on the New England Patriots. DeAndre Swift, a lot of people have been – I heard Coach Wannstedt mention it, that Shane Waldron isn't calling a balanced game, leaning too much on the pass. Do you continue to see him continue? Like, have you worked with offensive coordinators like that despite what the players and the fans are thinking, they still do what they want to do because they are the ones calling the plays?
Here's the problem is he's staying behind the chains so much that it's hard for him to call these runs. And sometimes you need to call a pass on. I keep saying it every week. Call pass plays on first down. Best time to catch a defense off guard, off balance in the coverage you want is first down. Because if you run the ball 2 yards, now it's 2nd and 8. Now the defense got you. They know you're going to throw the ball because you're not going to risk trying to run the ball, get 1 yard again. Now it's 3rd and 7. They know you're okay. So now you're kind of in a position here that they know what they're dictating the plays you're calling. So Waldron just needs to stay ahead of the chains. And I mean, obviously, how do you do that?
This is what I'd love for you to explain to me, because I'm the fan that's watching this game and saying, run the ball on 2nd down. Run it. Put Caleb in 3rd and 5. Put Caleb in 3rd and 4. Yeah. Like, because that's the throw I feel like he makes often, whether it's the 5-yard out to Keenan Allen, whether it's a little dump off to DeAndre Swift.
That sounds good until you look at the Bears' 3rd down rankings. It team's 31st in the NFL in 3rd down.
But they also rank at the very bottom in yards to go on 3rd down.
Yeah, I haven't looked at how many yards to go they had on third down, but I know they are one of the worst teams in the NFL on third down, just like they're one of the worst teams in the NFL in starting the football game. They got 10 points in the first quarter, Marshall. 10 points.
I literally just said that. I just said
you
that.
said that? 10 points all year in the
Eagles,
first quarter.
Only the Eagles have scored fewer points, and they just scored their first touchdown last week, so they're coming for the Bears. Clay, here's the problem with what you said. Yeah, they should, in theory, throw on first down, but if you'll notice, Caleb hasn't exactly been hitting his targets on first down. He's been selling balls on those first and easy rhythm plays that Shane Waldron has drawn up for him. He hasn't hit the target. So you got a problem there. Now, I don't know if it's nerves. I don't know if it's the lack of faith in his offensive line, but you got to just rip that thing out and let it go. And it's got to be on target on those easy first down throws that you're talking about.
Yeah, Bears got to put some points early and often in this one to get that momentum and certainly take home that victory. On the defensive side of the ball, Jaquan Brisker is still out, right? Dealing with concussion protocol. Kyler Gordon still working with him. Andrew Billings, an issue. We saw what the Bears look like without Montez Sweat. And somebody said something very interesting last week on the overnight show on the Score, Sunday into Monday. And it was that, is Coach Eberflus a good defensive coach, or was he the beneficiary of a Montez Sweat at the end of the season? Because that's when the defense really started to change over. And people need to be looking at him more so than the play calls by Coach Eberflus. What do you guys think about that assessment and laying a lot of the credit to Sweat as opposed to Coach Eberflus?
I am on the record as saying that Matt Eberflus needs to give up his play calling duties so he can focus on being the CEO of the team, be in those offensive meetings in a more full way and having a holistic view of his football team. That's one way he can save his job. But apparently that's not his concern right now. Saving his job is not at the bottom list because it's 1 week at a time. And this week it's the New England Patriots, a team that they should beat. But the obvious thing to me, Gabe, is that Matt Eberflus should be like, all right, clearly I can't do two jobs at once. I'm going to focus on my actual job title. When you hired Eric Washington as your defensive coordinator, you had to think he was competent. Well, back to Clay's original point, we don't know about his hiring skills. But in theory, you had to think he was leaning into the fact that this is a guy I trust with the defense, and he needs to concentrate on that. He's got too much dip on his chip.
That's fair. But I mean, I think the reason he was retained is because of his defensive play calling ability. He's a solid defensive coordinator, but he's not a good head coach. And I think that, yeah, Montez Sweat helps, but every good defensive team is going to have some dogs. You're going to have some dogs. You got to know how to use them. Without Sweat, though, that defense is pretty barren. You look at that defensive line, it doesn't look good. Now that Big Andrew Billings is out, it got a little bit worse, and he's probably out for the season, even though Eberflus didn't say that. Here's a question I got for you guys, though. Is this an important game for Caleb? Because if he looks worse than Drake Maye, the number 3 overall pick, a guy that's got a better quarterback rating than him right now, and loses this game, are people going to start having conversations saying the Bears made the wrong choice at quarterback?
No, they're going to they're going to continue conversations about Shane Waldron not making the game easier for Caleb Williams. That's where the conversation. No one's here to buy into your, Caleb is a bust after freaking 8 games in the NFL. No one's here for any of that.
That's not that's a question I'm asking.
Oh, you asked the question. No one's here for your question. We know what Shane Waldron has and has not done. We know they had to have a come to Jesus meeting with him through 3 games, and then they had to circle back and be like, by the way, you had a bye week. You had a week off to self-scout and figure out what do we do really well. Let's look at the tape. What do we need to improve on? Maybe we should get it into Cole Kmet's hands since we're paying him all this money, and more than one target over 2 games would be appropriate. A lot of questions, Clay, about what are they doing?
Yeah, and that's why the defense needs to step up in the situation against Drake Maye. He's a mobile quarterback. He's going to try to exit the pocket quickly. If you watch the offensive line of the New England Patriots, certainly not their strong suit right there. So, Billings not being there, the other guys are going to have to step up to put some pressure on him. But he's going to get outside. So without Jaquan Brisker, who's going to be the person that's responsible for keeping Drake Maye honest? And excuse me, do you see Drake Maye being an issue for the Chicago Bears defense?
Can he run? Then yes, he's an issue for the Chicago Bears. At this point, when you're coming off a game in which you gave up $150 in the first half, yeah, everything's an issue. And, we talked to TJ Edwards on 670 Score, Bernstein and Harris. I don't know if you guys have heard that show. But he talked about the fact that it took until halftime for them to make the adjustments to figure out what was going wrong on defense. And a half is too long. Ramondre Stevenson has got to be licking his lips, and getting excited about the potential after watching James Conner.
Stevenson had 16 yards last week. Ramondre Stevenson isn't a threat.
You're right.
Drake Maye is the threat.
Let me take you back. Let me take you back to Indianapolis. Remember what they said going to the Indianapolis game? Well, this team gives up so many yards rushing. They're the worst rushing defense in the NFL. I said, you think they're not looking at the Bears the same way the Bears are looking at them? What happened in that game, Clay? What happened in that Colts game?
Too long ago, man. I don't remember.
Oh, how convenient for you. How convenient. An elephant Clay Herbert is not. Too many hits in the head during his playing days. I'll tell you what happened. The Colts were like, we about to get off on you boys and not let you run anywhere at all. So all that excitement about, this team actually has the weakness that can help our weakness get better and we can get strength. No, that's not how it works, because both players on both teams get paid, right, Clay? Am I right or am I wrong?
Of course. And I also think that it's not just Ramondre Stevenson. I think it's the entire Patriots team, right? Where they look at the game that they had last week against the Tennessee Titans. They look at the successes that they've been close in the last couple of weeks. And they look at the Bears and they say, hey, man, they got a rookie quarterback just like us. They, what do they do better than us? They some receivers, but hey, man, we're going to be out here. Our defense is good. Right. So I'm sure they look at that as a situation that they can get into. All right, let's get into the final five. Last 5 minutes of the podcast. Talk about matchups that you're interested in seeing, players that you're going to be keeping an eye on during the game, and then, of course, projected final scores. Clay, I'll start with you. Players you're going to be watching closely, or coaches, and yeah, we'll go there first before final score.
To go back a little bit, I think I have a little bit more respect right now for the Bears defense, so to speak. I think that they'll do a little bit better. Montez Sweat is one of the best edge defenders against the run. People always talk about his pass rush. He ain't one of them finesse pass rushers that want to come in and do a bunch of. He's a power rusher and he can hold an edge, right? So he's a guy that's really good against the run.
On the dance floor, hitting him with the
Kyler Gordon is also really good against the run, and he's looking like he's practicing.
Yeah, he'll be back. He'll be back.
Practicing in a limited capacity this week, but hopeful that he can come back and play. So getting those two guys back, even though you're missing Big Bill, who as a nose tackle is a big piece of that team, who holds these linemen off the linebackers. He started the season really well. He faded a little bit, but he's still a solid player. I'm kind of shocked that Matt Eberflus, Ryan Poles didn't make a deal for somebody knowing that Big Bill did have this pec injury and that your two offensive tackles are out, but that's another story. Matchup I'm looking for is I mean, you said it, is what are they going to do against Drake Maye? To me, Ramondre Stevenson isn't the issue. Drake Maye, Jaden Daniels with some broken ribs was out there running for near 100 yards on you, right? Drake Maye ain't that fast. He ain't that explosive, but he is a quarterback that can run. So are you going to be able to keep him in contain? Are you going to be able to not let him extend plays that comes with the defensive line? Is Montez Sweat healthy? Is he going to be able to get that pressure? Kyler Gordon, you play. Are you going to be able to get great blitzer? Are you going to be able to get that pressure? Who else is going to step up? Chris Williams, DeMarcus Walker, who knows? But some of those guys in the defensive line and blitzers have a big task in front of them when trying to contain and make sure that Drake Maye doesn't get loose and create a lot of extended plays.
Yeah, I'm gonna be looking at Chris Williams, right? A guy who did have a sack earlier in the year, at the tail end of a game, but he's gonna be getting some.
Is that what we're leaning into? Is that where your hope lies?
You have to. Right? My hope actually lies in the person that I'm going to say next, and that's Zach Pickens, right? Someone that was hurt the last couple of games, working his way back in from injury. He's a guy who saw the success of Javon Dexter at the beginning of the season. And listen, these are two guys that are going to be paired together, right? Regardless of whether we're mentioning Zach Pickens or not. These are two defensive tackles that were drafted in the same year. Zach Pickens looking at Javon Dexter, seeing the success he has, and says to himself, man, can I come up with a level of success? And he's getting the opportunity this weekend. So my eyes are going to be on Zach Pickens, see if people are going to be saying his name, so that way he can stop the run of Ramondre Stevenson or create some pressure on Drake Maye. You look unimpressed with my Zach Pickens take there, Marshall Harris.
I think y'all are worried about the wrong thing, because the defense can step up and do all the thing and not give up, say, a touchdown, a field goal, 10 points. Who's playing tackle for this team? My matchup is whoever's playing tackle on offense for the Chicago Bears, because I don't know who that's going to be. Do y'all know who that's going to be?
Tackles. Both
That's
tackles.
what I'm saying. Who's playing tackle? Either one of them.
Yeah.
I don't know. Neither of the tackles, 3 of their tackles missed practice yesterday. 3 of them.
You don't trust Shane Waldron to scheme up an offense that can help them out with a terrible offensive line? You mean last week when Shane Waldron was going 5 wide often with a brand new offensive line? You don't have faith in him to create something for
if Caleb is the franchise and you've already committed to playing him 60 minutes of football, regardless of what the score is, you better have a plan at tackle. And right now, they don't have a plan at tackle.
Okay.
I don't know.
How many times is Caleb going to get sacked on Sunday?
I don't know, but I'll leave you with this stat. Everybody talked about, the Cardinals, they don't really have much of a pass rush. They've only had 6 sacks in their last 5 games combined heading into this contest with the Chicago Bears. They sacked that man 6 times in 1 game. And the pressures, 16 different players getting a pressure? Clay. 16 different players got a pressure on Clay Williams.
Clay Harbert blocking on the edge, forgetting the chip block over there, allowing pressures to every single person.
Third-string offensive tackle in the game, man. And
that's like
Caleb
16 pressures. That's the amount of pressures that Clay Harbert faces when he hits the club. There's going to be 16 pressures from 16 different people, 16 different women coming at him at the club.
And you know what? Clay putting the pressure. All right, let's go to final score predictions. Marshall Harris, you go first. What's going to be the score in this one?
Man, last week I told y'all it was going to be. I told you I was going to be 27-20 or something like that. This week, let me be realistic with this. 17-10 Bears.
Yeah.
17-10 Bears. I can't find the offense. I don't have any faith in Shane Waldron. Again, I ain't from Missouri, but y'all got to show me something before I buy into this again.
All right, Clay, what you got for us? Final score predictions. Is it going to be a barn burner like Marshall's saying?
16-13 Bears.
Oh my God.
That was not music to Gabe's ears. I want to point that out.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 20-13.
Oh,
I think the Bears, because you want to know why? The offense of the New England Patriots is very bad, and they will make mistakes. Their wide receivers will drop passes. Drake May will, throw some incompletion, so it'll give more opportunities to the Bears. And it seems like that's what Caleb thrives off of, where he might not necessarily be performing well in the beginning, but you give him enough chances, he settles in, and then he does put some points on the board. At least that's what we're hoping. So I can see the Bears getting out to like a 20-10 lead, Patriots getting down there, getting a field goal late, and then the Bears holding on to the ball. So that's what I'm going to say happens there. Hopefully they better win. Jeez, because if they don't, Clay, I think you might be right. People might be putting a lot of blame on not only the coaching staff, but also got some guys on the offense. We didn't even get into the DJ Moore thing and walking off the field. And what do you guys think of that? But
he was hurt. He said he was hurt. It's fine.
Just wondering if it's believable.
Don't act like you never played pickup basketball, rolled your ankle, and be like, and then you're like, actually, it's okay.
They did think
he walked all the way to the bench without looking back while the middle of the play's going on.
It looked like Caleb was going to run out of bounds right there, and that little spin move by the sideline was something that I'd never seen before, because nobody comes back into the field to play, or at least not a quarterback, to try to make a throw on the other side of the field. That was pretty impressive play.
I think he was frustrated and he was in pain, but he realized, I think I'm okay. We all have that moment.
They got to scheme him up. We talk about guys like Cole Kmet. I mean, they got to get DJ Moore some opportunities.
They got to get everybody the ball, because Caleb Williams needs to throw for more than whatever he's been throwing for. It hasn't been enough.
Yeah.
All right. Before we go, I got a couple. I got a little stat for you that I looked up.
Okay. What you got?
All right. So, are you guys ready? Let me pull this up on my notepad. I used this last night on the Big Pro Football Show on CHSN.
What time does that come on again?
5:30 p.m. Central Standard Time.
5:30 p.m. Okay. Last year, DJ Moore had a 120 passer rating when targeted and caught 73% of the passes thrown his way for a 14.5 yard per catch average under Justin Fields.
I already know where you're going with this.
Okay. This year, DJ Moore has a 62.5 reception percentage, 10 yards per catch, and an 85 passer rating when targeted. Those are huge differences. DJ Moore's been shown to be a guy that's been quarterback proof.
And what's interesting,
he's playing with PJ Walker. What's the deal here?
Yeah, what's interesting, Clay, is that when you look at that stat, you could point to initially and say, okay, well, maybe there were more scramble drills with Justin Fields, and that's why DJ was able to get open in those situations. But Caleb holds onto the ball a lot too. Caleb's creating those scramble drill opportunities, and he's still not finding a guy like DJ Moore, which is somebody that Justin Fields would lean into. Another stat that was interesting, I just saw him talking about the other day, was like the Bears' 3 receivers fall in the top 15 of like missed throws,
off-target
throws in the NFL, which is interesting also. So
not off-target throws. So Caleb, Marshall, you're telling me 1 to 10 and concern level with Caleb Williams. To me, I'm a big Caleb guy. I still think they should have taken Caleb. Right now, I'm a little bit concerned.
0.
He hasn't looked great. Is there any concern level with Caleb Williams?
On a scale of 0 to 10,
what percentage of blame? What percentage of blame does Caleb Williams deserve for his play these last few games?
I mean, I'd probably say if we're gonna go divide it up to coaching, offensive line, receivers, I'd say 25%. I think that's fair.
That's the right.
Because the offensive line has not been anything to write home about. The receivers have been dropping balls. We know about the coaching. So 25%. So when I tell you my concern level is a 2 out of 10, it's only a 2 out of 10. Also, he's a rookie in the NFL, and you didn't do him any favors. The other rookie quarterbacks, whether it's Bo Nix, whether it's Drake May, obviously Jaden Daniels, their coordinators are like, what do you do well? What do you not do well? We'll worry about the stuff you don't do well and slowly work that in. But right now, we're just trying to win football games and build your confidence. I don't see that with Caleb Williams.
But Drake May's starting 3 receivers are Demario Douglas, Kayshawn Boutte, and Kendrick Bourne.
And he's versus
DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, and Keenan Allen.
Yeah.
But you know who can wreck any level of talent you have on your roster? A bad offensive coordinator. So far, Shane Waldron has not proven to be anything above average. Well, I'm not going to call him terrible, but he bears a lot of blame in this situation.
And he'll get the opportunity to prove himself this Sunday.
Why get us all right? See, I was ready to shut it down, drink some hot tea.
But the good thing is this.
I'm wide awake.
Well, that's good, though. Because now you get an opportunity to go straight to your radio show, which you guys can check out as well. Bernstein and Harris, 10 to 2 on 670 The Score. Weekdays, make sure you check them out. They have a ton of great guests. Mondays, I believe they have Dan Weeder and Anthony Herron. Tuesday Edwards. I got you. You guys are my boys. And then, of course, Clay Harbor. Even though his name says Gabe Ramirez underneath him, that is Clay Harbor over there. I know I look like the 9-year NFL vet, but it's not quite it in this moment.
Only from the neck up.
That's Clay. Tuesday through Friday on CHSN, the Big Pro Football Show, 5:30 Central Standard Time. David Hall, Ruthie Polinsky. Make sure you check them out there. Which, by the way, quickly before we go, I'm going to be broadcasting live from the Bulls game today, Clay. So if you want to step on out with your pass to come check the game out, I'll be with my dad and my brother. We'll be watching that Bulls game tonight as well.
Yeah, so who they got tonight?
Minnesota Timberwolves. Slide, baby. That's right. It was my Father's Day present for my brother and my dad. So we'll be there tonight. I am Gabe Ramirez, the final third of the Blitz, and we appreciate you guys for listening to Believe in Bears, the podcast. Make sure you listen to us everywhere you get them. Spotify, all the good stuff, Apple Music, and then check us out after the next Bears game. Until next time, we out.